From sunny Dublin, Ireland, I'm thrilled to announce that with the 134th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Braelon Allen.
Oh yeah! Let's go!
Well done.
Yes!
Well done.
Yes!
All right, with the 171st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Jordan Travis, quarterback.
Oh, wow! All right, yeah!
Jets, Jets, Jets!
All right, day 3 of the draft is in the books, officially tapped out. Ryan is out of gas. 3 days of streaming will absolutely do that. I love the NFL draft. I love the draft stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to all 3 days. Thank you to the people that came out to the main event and helped support the day 1 stream. That was an absolute awesome environment that we had and everything going on. But day 3 of the NFL draft, I'll give you guys my thoughts a little off the cuff. I'm exhausted, so I'm not going to do a crazy ton of editing in this video. I'll have my draft grades put out tomorrow, so I'll give you guys like a full breakdown on my analysis on all that. But let's hop into some of the storylines from today. First up, 4th round. There was a ton of trades going on. Joe Douglas made a whole bunch. I can't even go over all of them in my mind as to what was actually in play for each one. But I do remember sitting there at the beginning part of the 4th round saying, man, I really hope we make the pick at 111. Javon Baker goes right in front of the Jets. Was that someone the Jets were maybe identifying as a player they wanted to target, and then they traded back? I'm not too sure. There were a lot of players on the board, I think, at the start of day 4. And if I were to give one critique, it would be I would have liked to have made more picks in the 4th round for higher end players. TJ Tampa was a cornerback that had, multiple high grades given to him. I saw him tail end of the 1st in one of Kuiper's drafts. Lots of 2nd round grades on him, and he was still there at the beginning part of the 4th round. I think even into the later picks of our 4th round. With DJ Reed, Brandon Eccles, Michael Carter up on contracts after this year, I felt like that would have been a nice little swing to have, but it's hard to argue. In one of our trade downs, we did get a 3rd round pick back for 2026. So I do like adding some assets in the future that could potentially help offset the Hassan Reddick trade, as well as give us a little bit of ammo for if we want to make a move in season prior to the playoffs. They just moved the trade deadline back an extra, was it a week or 2? So overall, trade downs, lots of craziness. I think we made a trade at it felt like every single pick from 10 to 11, from 72 up to 65 or 66, and then 111 down, and then 134, stayed, but the other ones, so much movement. Trader Joe, the name, sticks full on, and the Jets made a lot of picks. One trade that I wasn't particularly thrilled with was the JFM move. The JFM trade to the Broncos. We got a 2026 6th round pick. He was one of the highest cap hits on our team. I think the 3rd highest cap hit at about $16 million, $15 million. And to me, when I look at JFM, I thought he was going to be a player that you could restructure, bring back for the next 2 years. He did sign a contract with the Broncos. I believe it was 2 years, $15 million. So if he would have signed that here, I would have been happy to bring him back for these next 2 seasons. It seemed like the Jets were just tapped out of funds. They needed to make some extra space, not just for this year, but in future years where you got to start paying some guys a little bit of money, and you have to make some room on the defensive line. So, I don't really agree with moving of John Franklin Myers. I think you should have gone all in with, the players that you have right now while they're still good for these next 2 years. But I understand the financial side of it. So, there's that. Again, him getting sent to the Broncos, maybe there was a little handshake agreement with the Broncos. Hey, look, we're kind of embarrassed that we have Zach Wilson, and, all these rumors are out there that we have no trade partners and no one wants to give anything up for Zach Wilson. So how about this? How about you eat half the contract and give us, this extra pick, and then a few days later, we're going to trade you JFM for pennies on the dollar, but it'll be 2 separate transactions, and it won't actually, nothing really to do with either one, but we're going to look pretty decent for getting rid of Zach Wilson. You're going to look like you get a steal. Your fan base is happy. Our fan base is happy. That's how it felt like to me. Did it actually play out that way? Probably not. But there's nothing bouncing around in my head right now. My head's full of tinfoil with that. But then we get into our draft picks. And, dude, Braelon Allen coming out of Wisconsin was one of my favorite players of the draft. When you said, okay, which player could Ryan select that he would say he has a crush on in this draft? And it was hands down Braelon Allen. He's 20 years old. He's not going to be 21 until like the AFC Championship game, which means when the Jets are heading to the Super Bowl, he's going to have his first legal drink of alcohol. Really cool. This kid only did 3 years of high school. During the COVID year in his junior year, he had already committed to Wisconsin. So he basically told the school, hey, I want to like graduate after my junior year. I'm going to take junior and senior year online so I can go to Wisconsin a year early. So he's going to be 20 years old for damn near the entirety of his season. And he hits like a fucking missile. This guy is so strong. He's definitely a between the tackles type runner, definitely going to complement Breece Hall and Izzy Abanikanda. I think when you look at him, he still has that breakaway speed. I don't know what his actual 40 time was. It's nothing like electric fast, but plenty of breakaway speed. And now you're in a situation where, God forbid, something happens to Breece Hall. You have a little bit of a security net with Braelon Allen, Izzy, and then our later pick in just a moment that I'll go over, Isaiah Davis. But very, very happy with the running back room as it's constructed right now. I think Braelon Allen is probably my favorite pick of this this entire draft. Like that was a fun pick that my brother actually turned me on to him a bunch of months ago actually. So it was fun watching him kind of go through and seeing all the players that were taken from like basically all of our mock drafts. It felt like the first 4 picks were basically a ton of Jet fan mock drafts. You know, whether it's Olu Fashanu or Fawaga or Fatanu or whatever offensive lineman you had us taken in the first round. And then like it was always like Malachi Corley and Braelon Allen and then Jordan Travis. This one was a great pick. Jordan Travis, the quarterback out of FSU, I thought was so fun to get. Obviously he had the injury prior to the playoffs in college, and not something you ever want to see. They didn't get to go into the college football playoffs because they didn't feel that FSU was strong enough without him, but damn near like perfect season. Really, really impressive from Jordan Travis. Now, broken leg, ankle, I think is what it wound up being. He is going to be cleared by the start of training camp. And one thing that I've been harping on this for like months now with Jordan Travis, and the reason why I felt like it was a good move to take him here was because of that injury. He's going to be cleared for the start of training camp. You're going to be able to let him practice with Tyrod, with Aaron, with all the players. Give him as many reps as you can get in the preseason because, look, we don't want to have Aaron Rodgers take any snaps. So it's going to be basically Tyrod Taylor, who has played a ton of snaps already in his career. I don't think you necessarily need to see a lot of preseason snaps from him. So Jordan Travis could get the lion's share of snaps throughout the preseason and training camp, and you're going to feel pretty good about it. And then at the end of training camp, when the Jets have to cut down to their final 53-man roster, you slap the IR label on him. You give him a true redshirt year. You cannot be activated after that. You cannot practice after that. But once you get into the season, there's not a lot of practice going on with these, third ranked quarterback on your roster because there's only a certain amount of reps that you're actually allowed to do in a given week of practice. So Aaron Rodgers, Tyrod Taylor will be the two quarterbacks on our roster, the same way we had Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson last year. I do believe we only want to carry 2 quarterbacks on this roster. So if you IR Jordan Travis, that allows you to keep that 10th offensive lineman that Joe Douglas wants to hold on to. And the issue that you would have gone with if you had a Rattler, or I guess maybe not so much Pratt. Pratt wound up lasting a pretty long time. I think he went into the 7th round. But you ran the risk of those guys potentially being poached from the practice squad. And with Jordan Travis in the IR, you protect him and you give him a true redshirt year that we didn't get to give to Sam, we didn't get to give to Zach Wilson. And hopefully something, comes from this. He's got a pretty strong arm. He's mobile. He plays very similar to Tyrod Taylor. So he'll get a lot of hands-on experience with both our quarterbacks for the next year or two. And then 2026, 2027, if you want to give him a shot to start, I'm all about it. Not to mention Jermaine Johnson out of FSU, our edge rusher, is an absolute beast and team captain most likely for this upcoming season. He's got Jordan Travis's back. So to some degree, when you have this quarterback coming in, there's some sort of rapport that's already, credibility within the locker room. And I really liked that about Jordan Travis. I thought, having him sit for this long, the NFL rosters generally turn over about 30% year over year. So by the time he actually gets to start, everybody on this team is going to know him really well. And I love the pick. I think it's a smart move by the New York Jets. Pretty happy there. The next pick, Isaiah Davis, I did not know anything about him. And I would say that the last 3 picks here were, shots in the dark. No clue what any of these were. Second running back taken by the Jets in this draft, arguably second and a half if you want to call Malachi Corley a running back who converted to wide receiver. Like, very odd to see the second running back off the board in Isaiah Davis. From my understanding, this is another bigger bodied guy. So maybe the Jets are just saying between Braelon Allen and Isaiah Davis, we just need one of these guys to be a stout goal line back. And then one of Davis or Allen or Izzy is going to be put on the practice squad. I would imagine it would probably be Davis or Izzy that would be going down there. I think you have some pretty high hopes for Braelon Allen. But yeah, running back, we didn't think it was a complete weakness. You thought running back 2, but heck, we didn't think it was a weakness when we had Michael Carter. And we went out and we got Breece Hall. So you know what? Going out and getting studs that make your team better, I don't care if we don't have like starters from this draft necessarily. I do think we're going to see plenty of time from these players that are going to be, starting in some capacity. But the fact that we have such a deep roster and it's so good that these guys don't have to start is exactly what good teams have, and you have depth. So this is like huge for me. So even though I'm not like crazy on the Isaiah Davis pick, adding some depth is not a bad thing. Quantez Stiggers. This is a guy who took a very unorthodox path to the NFL. Apparently, he went into it wasn't just college football. He was in some other league that O'Leary said on stream that I am blanking on right now, and I'm not doing the extra research to figure it out at this particular moment in time. But basically, out of high school, went into this other league, played 1 year of Canadian football last year, and you need to enter the draft after 3 years of high school if you don't go to college. It's a rule that I didn't realize was a thing. I would have just assumed 3 years out of high school, you could just sign with a team. But I guess you're 3 years out of high school, you declare for the NFL draft. Interesting thought process there. Potentially high upside guy, has some ball hawking skills from what I've gathered in his other football ventures. And look, the Jets need safety help. They need corner help. DJ Reed, Michael Carter II, Brandon Echols, all going to be free agents at the end of this year. Does this guy find a home somewhere on that secondary? Maybe it's the safety position. You have Jared Bernard-Converse that you drafted last year. We don't really know what he is, but Tony Adams, Ashton Davis, Chuck Clark, all on 1 year deals. So the secondary is going to need a little bit of love. And taking a stab on someone that is an unorthodox path that might have a really high upside, I think is a pretty cool swing at that point. And then rounding out the Mr. Irrelevant pick, you have Jalen Key, the safety, coming in. And look, we need secondary help. That's all it is. And I don't know a whole lot about Jalen Key. I'll flat out tell you right now, not a whole lot. But position-wise, late in the draft, that's kind of where I wound up going. A lot of times I took Kenny Logan Jr. or I took Josh Proctor. So going with a safety here at the tail end is totally fine with me. Overall, very much liked this draft. Again, I'll give you guys my full draft breakdown tomorrow. I'll do grades and I'll break down like each particular player thoughts and comments and whatnot. But I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts of day 3 of the NFL draft? Who were your favorite players selected? What was the best reaction that you guys saw? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.